And for those just joining in, for those with me, we will be using 2 blocks today. So if you can access a couple of blocks, that would be lovely. And that should be all we need other than our bodies and our mats. So let's go over and make our way to our mats if you're not already there. And you can decide if you want to begin sitting down or lying down, either one. If you're sitting, make sure you're comfortable, and you can always support your legs in some way with a block or a blanket. You can have your legs stretched out straight if you like, but check in with your posture, sitting up nice and tall. If you're lying down, put your feet on the floor and just feel your connection to the ground. You might choose to close your eyes, although you're welcome to leave them open if that's your preference. But let's begin by arriving not only physically in the place where we are and recognizing that experience of being in your body where you are, but let's also bring our mind to the here and now. So whatever was going on over the weekend or this morning, we're going to set that aside. And whatever is coming up later today or later this week or in the future, we're going to let that go as well. And we're going to immerse ourselves in our present moment experience. We're going to give our minds a little break from all the thinking. And we're just going to dive into experiencing. What is your experience right here and now? What does it feel like to be where you are? What do you notice? Not only the feeling of your body, but also whatever you're hearing, whatever you're smelling, whatever you're touching. Really experience it. So often, if you're with a small child, they notice things that we don't notice. They notice the sound of the airplane or the bird or the loudspeaker, and we're so focused on our tasks that we miss a lot. So here's an opportunity to practice just drinking in and fully experiencing whatever's going on inside of us and around us in the present moment. As we're paying attention to how things feel, I invite you to take a moment to notice how it feels to broaden the roof of your mouth. An imagery that might be useful is to imagine that the way it looks when you pour pancake batter in the middle of a pan, and that batter spreads out slowly towards the sides of the pan. Can you imagine that same experience in the roof of your mouth? That softening, that broadening, expanding out in all directions, towards the front of your mouth, towards the sides of your mouth, and towards the back of your head. And could you even imagine that that broadening continued out even past the lines of your, or the confines of your face? So that broadening continuing out to the sides and behind you, as if that expansiveness could continue to expand. What does that experience feel like? Expansiveness, openness, perhaps lightness, spaciousness. And with that expansive spaciousness in the head now, begin to bring your awareness to the feeling of your breathing, inviting the breath to expand also. A little deeper in-breath, expanding into your lungs, into your ribs. And then we'll let the breath empty out. Feel the breath moving in your body. Noticing how it feels, where the breath goes. And feel what it feels like when you allow the breath to release and empty. Taking whatever time it takes to breathe fully and deeply. Giving that exhale whatever time it needs to fully empty and release. Breathe fully and deeply 1 or 2 more times. The next time your breath fully releases, you can begin to transition to a more natural breath. Take a moment then to check in with how you're feeling this morning, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. And with that awareness of how you're feeling, consider what you're needing. This can be a little more challenging. We're not always used to noticing what we're needing, but it's a really useful practice to get in touch with that. And is there something you could focus on for the next hour that would address what you're needing? Something you could offer yourself or invite in? Pick something and just breathe it in, knowing that if you're not sure, love, compassion, kindness are always worth focusing on. But maybe you need something else. And with your intention in place, when you're ready, you can go ahead and open your eyes. And we'll make our way to lying down if we're not already there. And as we lie down with our feet on the floor, I'd like you to place your hands on your low ribs, just really kind of cradle your low ribs in your hands and feel what it feels like if you take a breath in. Notice how the ribs go a little up and apart. And feel what it feels like as you breathe out. Notice how the ribs go a little in and down. And then as we breathe now, on your exhale, with your hands on your ribs, can you kind of press them a little more in and down? So you're facilitating the movement of the ribs on the exhale. As you breathe in, just let them do their thing. Just notice how that feels. But with the exhale, just let those ribs knit in and down, and with a little assistance of your hands, kind of pressing them down. Because when we're lying on our back, the ribs often pop up. And if we can get the ribs knitting in and down, that helps to bring the spine in a more neutral position without tucking the tail and creating a lot of tension. So just getting in touch with that action of ribs knitting in and down one more time. And then the next time you exhale and those ribs start to knit in and down, I want you to start to lift up your head and neck and reach your arms forward towards your knees, kind of. So the ribs are kind of naturally knitting in and down as we come up in this way. Can we keep the ribs knitting in as we lower the head back down? And can we keep the ribs knitting in as the arms reach up and overhead? When the arms go up, the ribs want to pop up, but try to keep them knitting in a bit. So your thumbs reach back, take a breath in, and then let your elbows go out wide. Circle your arms around, knit your ribs, curl up, reach your arms forward. Keep those ribs knitting in as you lower back down. Reach your arms up and overhead. Breathe in. Circle your elbows out wide and then scoop your arms around. Knit your ribs, curl up again. Keep the ribs knitting as you lower back down. Reach your arms up and overhead without letting the ribs pop up. Breathe in. One more time like that. Circle your arms out, around, scoop up, knit the ribs, reach forward. And then last time, lower down. Take your arms overhead, breathe in, and then circle your arms around. We're just going to bring our arms down at our sides now. And then let's take one foot off the floor, bring a knee over hip, and then lower that foot back down. Do you notice how the low belly fires a little bit when you do that? Lift your other knee up and then lower that foot back down. So there's some action in the low belly with the movement of the legs. When you lower the leg down, the low belly fires, right? So do the other leg and lower it down. So now we're going to take both feet off the floor, both knees over hips, and then lower both feet down. And then you notice the low belly has to work to support the movement of the legs. The hip flexors are working, but the low belly's firing. So we're just continuing that action, lifting the knees up, and then lowering the feet back down. Can we think about knitting the ribs in as we're doing this? So the spine stays fairly neutral here as the knees come up and as the feet go down. Now let's bring the knees up, and then we're going to scoop and knit the ribs and reach forward, right? Upper belly, lower belly working here. Then extend one leg out, take both arms outside of the bent knee and knit the ribs and reach a little more. And then bring that knee back, extend the other leg out and reach to the other side by the bent knee. Knit the ribs here, reach out. Then bring that knee in, extend the first leg out, reach across, knit your ribs, really reach. Bring that knee in, extend the other leg out, reach across. Knit the ribs. One more time on each side. Extend one leg out and reach across to the outside of the bent knee. Bring the knee back, extend the other leg out, reach outside across the bent knee, and then bring that knee in, come center, knit, reach, and then extend both legs out as you take your arms overhead. Breathe in, and then bend the knees, knit, reach forward, Extend both legs out, inhale overhead. Exhale, knit, draw up and in, and then reach out, breathe. Exhale, reach forward, knees come in. Inhale, extend the legs, reach the arms. One more time. Let's knit in, reach, lift up. One more time, extend out and reach. And then we're going to relax the head down. As the knees come in this time, let's just grab them, hug them in, and a little bit roll side to side. Relax the neck, relax the jaw, soften the roof of your mouth. Do whatever feels good here for one more breath. Sway center, just draw the knees apart here, open up a little bit. Maybe let the hands rest on the insides of the knees. Relax the hips, take a breath. And then let your knees come back together. We'll lower our feet to the floor. Let's roll to the side. And we're going to just lie our head on our bottom arm, or you could let it rest on a pillow or something. We'll bend our knees towards straight forward from the hips. And then we'll take the top leg up to about the height of the hip. And then we're going to extend that leg out straight. So when the leg goes straight, or when we take it behind in a moment, the tendency is going to be for this hip to roll back. So we want this hip right over the bottom hip. And then we're going to take the leg that's straight, lined up with the body, and we're going to take it a little bit behind that line of the shoulder and the hip. So the leg is slightly behind, but the hip hasn't gone behind with it. And then we're just going to lift and lower that leg. And you can think about kind of leading with the heel. So we're targeting the muscles of the hip. As we get older, all our muscles tend to get a little less strong, and hip mobility becomes an issue. And strength in any of the muscles in the leg is going to help us with stability and balance. And these are large muscles here in the hip, so we want them to be strong and able to be mobile. So I'm going to lift and lower a couple more times. And then let's start to do some little circles. You can have, you can kind of point your toe, just a relaxed foot. Doesn't have to be flexed, doesn't have to be pointed, just whatever feels good. But we're circling now. We're taking it a little bit forward of the line of the body, a little bit behind. Circling that leg around. So strength and mobility here. We'll go in this direction one more time. And then can we change direction on that circle? Yeah. So we got a couple of different glute muscles here, various different hip muscles, outer thigh. Trying to get them all to fire here. Let's circle a couple more times in this direction. And then we're going to bring that leg and rest it on the bottom leg. With your feet together now, just lift your knee up and lower your knee down. And can you do that action without rolling your hip back? We're just going to do a couple more of these. Maybe really feeling that action in the muscles of the hip here. Last one. Feet are together, knee goes up, and knee relaxes down. Nice work. Push yourself up now and swing your legs around and lower down on the other side. Let your head rest on your bottom arm. Stacking your knees with the knees parallel, or one knee on top of the other, hand on your hip. So this hip, this top hip is right above the bottom hip. Keep it like that as you take that leg and extend it straight in line with your shoulder and hip, but then take the leg behind a bit without your hip rolling back. And then we're going to lift the leg up and lower it, and lift it up and lower it. Don't let your toes turn towards the ceiling. The toes are forward. So we're not working the front of the thigh, we're working the side of the leg and into the glutes here. Lift and lower, and lift and lower. A few more of these. So your ankle can be relaxed. Your foot can be like not deeply flexed or deeply pointed. Just a relaxed angle, but you're kind of leading with your heel. And now we're going to do some circles. So circle that leg around and circle it around. Yeah. All different muscles firing with this circular action here. Let's go in this direction one more time. And then we'll change direction. Circle the leg the other way. Doing great. Couple more. That top hip is not rolling backwards. It's stacked right above the bottom hip. Circle that leg around 2 more times. Offering yourself what you need here as you're working with your body. And then let's take that leg and rest it on the bottom leg. With our feet together, we're just going to lift the knee up and lower it back down. And lift it up and lower it back down. And do that a few more times. Yeah. I've done a lot of biking in the last few days, and that's just, there's no rotation of the hip when you cycle. And it feels nice to move the body in ways that are a little different. All right. Resting the knee on top of the bottom knee, make your way around now to all fours. And as you arrive on all fours, just do a couple cat-cows. Just arch your back and round your back a few times in any way that feels good. When you round the back, just let your head drop. You can move a little side to side if that feels good. Move a little front or back, or you can move your head around or your shoulders a bit. Just move, breathe, feel, notice. Breathe in something that is helpful or supportive for you. This is our time to care for ourselves, right? We're going to move in ways that are beneficial for our bodies this morning as they are. And maybe also impact the state of our minds with what we're doing here. So then eventually just make your way back to flat back. So we naturally start with our knees under our hips. Now I'd like you to take one knee, 5 or 6, 7 inches behind, and then take the other knee also behind. So your knees are behind your hips, and then take your hips back over your knees, which means that your arms end out in front of you. Your hands are about as wide as your shoulders, right? We're going to try and lower the forearms to the floor, and we're going to try and keep the elbows in line with the wrists and shoulders. If they're wider than that, that's okay, but we're just kind of working to hug them in. And then straighten the arms. So we're just lowering onto forearms, trying to line those elbows up with the wrists and shoulders, and then straightening the arms. So the hips really aren't moving front and back. We're just lowering down and then straightening. This is really simple for some. This is really challenging for some. Depending on your shoulders, history of injury, you might find this really, really, really hard. So just do the best you can. If your elbows are wider than your wrists and shoulders, that's okay. You're just we're trying to strengthen those muscles in the back of the shoulders. And we'll go up and down one more time. And then once you come down onto your forearms, stay there. And for some, this might be a good place to just hang out, trying to kind of hug the elbows in line with the wrists and shoulders. For some, we might try curling the toes under and lifting the knees up, coming into an elbow dog. Again, if that's too much for your shoulders, just stay on your knees. Can you kind of press your forearms down and maybe kind of think about hugging your elbows in as you create space across your upper back and breathe in and out. And then we're going to lower back down onto our knees. Let's take our hips back and sit back into child's pose. And you might find that taking your arms alongside the body might feel nice, or your arms could be supporting your head or wherever you like. Take a couple moments here to check in and breathe. And then when you're ready, you can lift your head up and reach your arms out in front, and we'll make our way to downward facing dog. Pressing down through the hands and taking the hips up and back. Shake the head out a little bit. Maybe pedal the heels if you like, or do any other movement that feels nice for your body at this point. Maybe just noticing how it is to see the world upside down. Breathe deeply here. And then let's go ahead and bend both our knees a bit. Draw the hips a little further up and back. Take a deep breath in and let it release out. Maybe sigh it out or do that again. Deep breath in and a big emptying out. Then walk your hands back towards your feet. Lower your heels down. End up folded over. Loose and relaxed and floppy ragdoll here. We'll take a breath into the upper back. Let's let that breath release and empty. We'll draw the belly in and start to roll ourselves up. Just taking a little time to unfurl the spine here. Stacking those vertebrae. Eventually lifting the head up. Let's root down through the feet as we reach the arms out. We'll inhale and reach overhead, maybe looking up. Exhale, arms down. Now I want you to start to bend your knees, lower your hips down, reach the arms forward, coming into a chair pose. So hips go low, feet stay planted, arms reach forward, then push into the feet and legs. Inhale and rise up, reach up. Exhale and pull yourself back down into your chair, arms forward, then push down, inhale, rise up, reach up, and can you lift your heels up here? And then lower your heels down, sit down into your chair, reaching forward, then push down, rise up, reach up, lift your heels, lower your heels, sit down into your chair, push down, straighten up, reach up, lift your heels. Again, lower down, sit down, reach forward. Last time, come on up, reach up, lift your heels. This time, lower your heels down and we'll lower our arms down. You can shake it out if you like. All right, let's come and make our way to the front of our mats and take a moment to just plant ourselves. Plant your feet. Send your roots down. Can you notice any sensation of ease in the body that you might experience when you feel that connection, that rootedness? We ground down to stand tall rather than pulling up to stand tall. And from this place of groundedness, let's take the arms and reach them out wide and expand as far out as you can. So collarbones extending all the way out to fingertips. And then from that grounded place, let's reach the arms up. Let the ribs and shoulders slide up. Let the fingertips reach up. Lift the heart. Maybe look up. Breathe in. Then sweep your arms out. Soften your knees as you hinge forward and fold over. Yeah. So knees can be soft whenever you bend. Let's bring hands to shins, and as we inhale, we're going to lengthen out through the crown of the head, spine long, and we'll exhale and fold over. Yeah, we're going to do that a little differently. We're going to inhale first, and then as we exhale, we're going to extend forward. Try that again. Inhale it as you fold over, and then exhale to extend, maybe getting a little more extension in this way. All right, inhale and fold over. Let's bring our hands to the floor and step back to downward facing dog. Breathe in as you draw your hips up and back. Exhale to straight arm plank. Again, we're going to change the breath a little. We're going to inhale here and exhale up and back to down dog. Inhale to lower. Exhale up and back to down dog. Again, inhale and lower. Exhale up and back. We'll inhale to lower. As you exhale, can you bend your elbows a little bit? You could take your knees down for support here if you like, but we're trying to really fire up the back of the upper arms. Let's straighten our arms and pull up and back to down dog one more time. We're going to lower into plank. Knees could come down. We're going to try a little bend in the elbows. We'll hold here for a breath. And then we can all lower our knees down if we like. We're going to bring our chest down into the floor. Letting that chest get as close as possible. Sinking the collarbones towards the floor. As the collarbones sink into the floor, can you feel how your shoulder blades kind of wrap around or land on your back? Slide those shoulder blades up a bit. Slide them down a bit. Something that can free up tension in the neck. Let's try that again. Slide the shoulder blades up and slide them down. And then just let them land right in the middle with a relaxed neck, shoulders. Now, let's start to think about lifting the chest up a little bit as we pull the heart forward, pressing back with the heels of the hands. So creating length here. Not coming up super high, but getting length. And then we'll lower back down. Really sink close as you can. Your nose might smush into the floor. And then again, start to lift up from between the shoulder blades. Pull the heart forward. Press the heels of the hands back. Come into your baby cobra, nice and low. Then lift your hands a little bit off the floor. Can you lift your elbows up a little higher and hug in a bit? Just wake up those muscles that wrap the ribs. And then bring your hands down, release your chest. This time, keeping the hands down, let's inhale up to baby cobra. We could stay here, or if we like, start to come up a bit higher into cobra, pulling forward as you come up. And then we'll lower back down. Let's push up to knees, curl the toes under and lift the knees, and then pull the hips up and back to downward facing dog. We'll breathe in and out here. Let's look a little forward and walk our feet up towards our hands, planting our feet beneath us. We'll take a breath here into the upper back. And as the breath empties, let's sweep our arms out and rise up. So a little different, exhaling to come up. Inhaling, arms down. Exhale again, arms up. Inhale and fold over. Exhale, halfway lift and extend the spine. Inhale and fold over. Exhale, hands to the floor, step back to down dog. Inhale, straight arm plank. Again, exhale up to down dog. Inhale, straight arm plank. Exhale, little bend in the elbows. Take a breath here. Exhale and lower all the way down to belly. Prone mountain. Take a breath here first in your prone mountain. And then exhale into your baby cobra or cobra. And inhale back down. Do that again. Exhale into your baby cobra or cobra. And inhale back down. Exhale back up to straight arm plank and up to down dog. Take a breath in and out here. Looking forward, walk your feet up towards your hands. Plant your feet beneath you. Take a breath in. Exhale, sweep your arms out and up and overhead. Inhale, arms down at your side. Again, exhale, arms overhead. Ribs can knit in here. Inhale, swan dive. Exhale, knit the ribs as you extend the heart forward. Inhale, fold. Exhale, hands to the floor, step back to down dog. Inhale, straight arm plank. Now we're going to try side plank. You're welcome to drop the knee that's further away from your device down and then just roll towards the side and press up. Press down to reach up, broaden across your chest. If you like, maybe lift the hips a little higher and lower them down. Lift the hips a little higher and lower them down. 2 more times. Lift them a little higher and lower them down. Lift them a little higher and lower down. Come back to straight arm plank. Lift up to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Lower into straight arm plank. You can always drop to knee and then rotate away from your device or just roll to the sides of the feet. Lift that top arm up. You can just hold here or lift the hips up and lower them down. Lift the hips up and lower them down. Lift the hips up and lower them down. Lift them up and lower them down. Come back to your plank. Lift up to your down dog. Breathe in and out. And then let's lower onto knees and sit back into child's pose. Take a break here. Take some breaths. Check in and notice and feel. Great. When you're ready, lift your heads up and make your way up to standing on your knees. And let's step the right foot out in front. With the heel a little forward of the knee or right under the knee, with the foot in line with the hip, hands on that front knee, let's just start to let the weight move into that front foot, bending that front knee, letting this back hip kind of sink forward. And then push back. Now let's press some weight into the knee and shin as we let the weight move into this front foot. Knee goes forward and then we're pushed back. Again, a little pressing down of the bent knee on the floor and that shin as the hip moves forward and the weight goes into that front foot. Holding here, take the same arm as the back leg, and as the knee and shin press down, reach up through that arm. Breathe in. Let that breath go. Take your other arm and sweep it up and overhead and breathe in. And then exhale, both hands to the floor. Place the same hand as the back leg on the floor. Take the other arm out to the side and then reach it up. Breathe in here. And then bring that hand back down. Can we curl the back toes under and press up to lunge? Just find a way to get into a low lunge here, feet hip distance apart. And then when you're ready, you could put your hands on your front knee to help you rise up, straightening that front leg. Now can we square our hips forward to the front line of the mat? We're going to bend into the front knee here. And then we're going to push that foot down to straighten. We'll bend into that front knee. Push that foot down and straighten the front leg. Again, bend and straighten. This time, let's bend the front knee and keep it bent. Drop your arms down and reach them forward. Take the same arm as the back leg, sweep it down and behind. Open and twist and breathe. Sweep that arm down and forward. Take the other arm, sweep it down and behind you. Open and twist. Sweep it down and forward. Great. Reach both arms up as you take a big breath in. And then exhale your hands all the way down to the floor. You can either drop to knees or step back to downward facing dog first. And breathe in and out. And then we'll lower to knees. We'll come up to stand on our knees. And then we're going to step the left foot forward. Maybe get that heel a little forward of the knee, this knee in line with this hip. And then we're going to let the weight move into that front foot, bending the front knee, letting the back hip sink forward and down. See how that feels. And then push the weight back. Now take that back knee and shin and press them down as you shift the weight forward. So there's a little resistance because there's action in that front thigh. And then push the weight back. Again, with a little action of pressing down on the back knee and shin, take the weight forward. And then same arm as the back leg, sweep it forward and up and overhead. Breathe in. Let that breath go. Sweep your other arm forward and up and overhead, breathing in. As we exhale, let's bring our hands to the floor. Same hand as the back leg, that hand is on the floor. Other arm opening to the side and then reaching up toward the ceiling as we breathe in. And then letting that hand come back down. Can we curl the back toes under and press up to lunge? Get your feet hip distance apart. And then we're going to try and rise up. You might bring your hand on your front knee. As you rise up, straighten that front leg. Hands on hips, square your hips forward, which should turn that back heel straight back. And then we're going to bend the front knee. Push that foot down to straighten. Of course, you're always welcome to hold on to something here. We're bending the front knee, pushing down to straighten. Hopefully in your home environment, you have set it up so that you have access to something to hold on to if you need that support. Bend and straighten. Give yourself permission to move in a way that is supportive for you. Let's go ahead and bend the front knee now and keep it bent. Let's drop the arms down and sweep both arms forward. So take the same arm as the back leg, sweep it down and behind you. Inhale and open into a twist. Exhale, sweep that arm down and forward. Take the other arm, breathe in. Exhale and sweep the other arm down and behind you. Inhale and open to a twist. Exhale, sweep that arm down and forward. Inhale, reach both arms up. And then exhale, lean forward, bring both hands down. You can drop to knees or step back to down dog first. Breathing in and out. If you drop to knees, make your way to downward facing dog. And breathe in and out. We'll lower to straight arm plank. For this, we might choose to drop onto knees. We're going to do a shoulder tap. So one hand taps the other shoulder, comes down. Other hand taps the other shoulder and comes down. We'll just do a few of these to get a little weight bearing. So can we do this without the hips shifting very much? Try to minimize the movement in your trunk and just work from the arms. So it'll take a little firing of the core to minimize that movement. So just a couple more like this, tapping the shoulder and tapping the shoulder. And maybe one more time on each side. And then a little bend in the elbows and we'll lower all the way down. Nice job. All right. Let's sink the chest and slide the arms alongside the body, hovering the head. We'll press down through the hips to lift the legs up. We'll reach back through the fingertips, palms to the ceiling here as we pull the heart forward and inhale and lift the chest up. So locust pose here. Can we really stretch back through the toes, lift the legs up a bit more, stretch back through the fingertips, lift the hands a bit as we pull the heart forward. So we're lengthening and lifting here. We'll take a breath and exhale to lower down. Great, let's bring our hands next to chest, push back to knees, Take the hips all the way back. Sit back into child's pose. Take a moment here to check in and breathe. Great, let's lift our heads up and reach our arms out. Make our way to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Let's walk our hands back towards our feet again, lowering the heels down. Folded over, bent knees. Breathe into your upper back. Let the breath go. Draw the belly in to roll yourself up. Once you're standing, inhale, arms up and overhead. Exhale, arms down at your side. Great. All right, let's take a wide stance. And we'll turn the right foot in, turn the left foot out. Hands can go to hips. Get that back foot angling in. Outer foot planted as the front knee bends and straightens. Again, bend and straighten. This time, bend the front knee and keep it bent. Tip your hips over. Forearm on the front thigh. Other arm, let's bring it forward and then open up toward the ceiling. Broaden from your bottom shoulder to your top shoulder. Take a breath. Sweep that arm a little bit behind you and then sweep it forward and up and overhead. Thumb up, pinky down. Roll the belly and chest under that arm. Reach that arm way overhead. Breathe in. Then sweep that arm down and back and behind. Inhale and rise up. Reach out. Hold here as your breath empties. With your next inhale, can you create a little more spaciousness, a little more expansiveness? Exhale, release your arms. Straighten that front leg, turn your feet forward, then go to the other side. Turn the back foot in, turn the other foot out, and then bend that knee and straighten. Can we bend the knee and still keep the outer back foot planted? Now let's bend the front knee and tip the hips over, letting the weight rest on that bottom arm. Then other arm can go forward. As it opens up, create space from bottom shoulder to top shoulder. Put a little less weight on that bottom arm. Take a breath here. And then that top arm, sweep it down by your hip. Then sweep it forward and up and overhead. Thumb up, pinky down. And then roll the belly and chest under that arm. Reach long and breathe. Then sweep that arm down. Let it reach behind as you inhale and rise up and reach out. Then exhale, stay here. Take another breath here. Open up, expand, lengthen. Find space. And then relax. Straighten that front leg. Turn the feet forward. And just walk your feet in. Coming to stand center. All right, we're going to make our way down to the floor. And we're going to sit sideways on our mats. So we're going to try to come into boat pose here. So you could do modified boat pose with your feet on the floor, or we could do it holding the backs of the legs, or we could try to be here with our arms out in front. So you might alternate from here to here, or you could try from boat pose to lower down and extend your legs out. And then could we bend the knees and come back up? So you might again just be lowering your feet down and lifting, or you could roll down and then come up. Just two more. Roll down and then come up. And last one, roll down and then come up. Great. All right, plant your feet. This is where we're going to use some blocks. So get your blocks and have them next to you. Make your way down. And initially just set up for without your blocks for bridge pose. So have your feet, heels under your knees, feet hip distance apart. Without turning your head, looking at the ceiling, just press down and lift up into bridge pose. So pressing down, knees and shins forward, hips come up nice and high. Come into a nice high bridge and take a breath. And then just roll yourself down out of your bridge pose until your hips, your sacrum arise on the floor. All right, now take your blocks and I want you to slide them underneath your feet. So both your feet are on top of your blocks and your feet are in that position that they were, but they're just elevated, right? They're hip distance apart. And so again, try not to turn your head, although we're not going to lift up as high into bridge, so it's not going to be as much of a deal, but it's better to look up. It's hard on your neck to turn when you're in bridge. So pressing into the block now, lift up into a bridge. And you don't have to come up as high here. This is going to be more about targeting the backs of the legs and the glutes. And then lower back down. Lift up. So once your hips are up, could you keep your right foot where it is and lift your left knee up in the air? And then put that foot back down and lift your right knee up in the air. And then put that foot back down and then lower out of your bridge. Relax, take a breath. Again, press down and lift up. We're going to lift the right knee up in the air and bring that foot back down. Lift the left knee up in the air and put that foot back down. And we're going to lower out of our bridge. Let everything relax and take a breath. One more time. Press down to lift up. Lift your left knee up in the air and then just hold here for 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. Put that foot on the block, lift the other knee up in the air and hold for 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. Put that foot back down. Pressing down, lift your hips up, take a breath. And then lower yourself back down. All right. If you don't want a challenge, just do it like that again. Just press down to lift up into bridge. If you want a greater challenge, can you slide those blocks forward so that you can put your heels on them and your legs are fairly straight? And then can you press down and lift up? You won't get very high, but you'll feel the whole back of the leg fire. So you're pressing down, you're lifting your hips just a little bit off the floor. Take a breath. And then relax. Great. All right. Slide the blocks off to the side. We're done with the blocks now. Slide your heels in. Give your knees a hug. And sway a little bit side to side. All right. Let's keep the knees in close. Drop our arms out to our side. And we're going to let both knees drop over towards the device, stacking one knee on top of the other. Reaching back with the arm that's behind you, take your gaze up or maybe look back at that arm that's behind you and take a breath or two here. Really let the breath empty out each time. So do that one more time. Deep breath in and a full releasing, emptying of breath. Then lift your top knee up, lift your bottom knee up, bring your knees to center. With your knees close to your body, let them drop over to the other side, stacking one knee on top of the other. Reaching back with the arm that's behind, maybe turning to look at that arm. And then a couple of deep breaths in and out here. And then again, lifting the top knee up, lifting the bottom knee up. We're going to start to transition to our final relaxation now. So do whatever you need to do to close out your practice and to set yourself up to be nice and comfortable, warm, supported. So when we lie back, there's no obvious discomfort that focuses your attention, right? Your attention isn't being called in one direction because your whole body can be relaxed. And then we can just drop into this experience, feeling and allowing the body to settle. Maybe just experiencing like that heaviness, like gravity is doing its thing. And the body just kind of releases and relaxes into the floor. Can you imagine that you were like a jellyfish or something that, an amoeba, like something that doesn't have skin and muscles and bones? Something that could just kind of release fully into the floor. Can we let go of any clenching or gripping? Any knitting or furrowing? And just experience softening, loosening, opening, relaxing, smoothing, releasing. Allowing the body to settle into a state of ease. A state of not doing, not holding on. A state of just being as we are, however we are. And resting here, resting the body, resting the mind. So we haven't been here very long. You're welcome to stay longer. And there might be some benefit to a longer relaxation. But if you are ready to transition, you could open your eyes. Bring your feet to the floor and roll to your side, taking a little time to transition. With gentle kindness, you can make your way up to sitting and find a way to sit comfortably. As you close out your practice, just connect with that uniqueness, that beauty, that wisdom, that light that's within you. Take a moment to appreciate yourself for all that you are. Thank yourself for making time for this practice this morning. Peace.